The security footage would show it later. The moment Elena Torres's knees buckled in aisle 12, her arms full of groceries she couldn't afford, falling toward unforgiving linoleum. What the cameras wouldn't capture was the man who appeared from nowhere, catching her before impact. While the way his expression shifted from concern to something harder when he saw what she'd been holding. Store-brand crackers, dented cans from the discount bin, formula marked down for approaching expiration. But that came later. 60 hours earlier, Elena's hands trembled as she sorted pills into a 7-day organizer, her mother's labored breathing filling the cramped bedroom. Stage 4 lung cancer. 3 months of treatment left. The hospice nurse had been clear. Without the new medication, maybe 6 weeks. Mija, you're shaking. Her mother's voice was thread-thin. Just tired, Mama. Elena forced steadiness into her fingers. 24 years old, 2 jobs, crushing debt, and a decision that shouldn't exist. Pay for medication or pay rent. Her phone buzzed. Text from her manager at Morrison's Market. Can you cover Sarah's shift? 2 to 10 p.m. today. Need answer in 10 minutes. Elena checked the time. 11:47 a.m. She was due at her evening job, data entry at Shun & Associates, at 6 p.m. If she took the grocery shift, she'd work 16 hours straight. Again, she texted back, I'll be there. The money decided everything. By 1:53 p.m., Elena stood behind Morrison's register in her required green vest, dark circles under her brown eyes like bruises, scanning items with mechanical efficiency. The store was Springfield's cheapest option, fluorescent lit, linoleum floored, serving families who counted every dollar. She knew because she was one of them. $47.83, she told the customer, a woman with 2 kids clinging to her cart. The woman counted crumpled bills twice, came up short, started removing items. The kids watched silently, accustomed to this routine. Elena recognized that silence, the learned shame of visible poverty. Actually, Elena said quietly, these were on sale. New total is $42.15. They weren't on sale. Elena would pay the difference from her paycheck. She'd done it before. The woman's eyes filled. Thank you. Have a good day. Elena smiled, though her head pounded with exhaustion. By 7 p.m., she'd been standing for 6 hours straight. Her shift at Shun & Associates was blown. She'd texted a weak excuse about family emergency, knowing it used up her last bit of goodwill there. At 8 p.m., her vision started blurring. At 9 p.m., she nearly dropped a jar of pasta sauce. You okay? Her co-worker Marcus frowned at her. Fine. Just tired. Elena, when did you last eat? She tried to remember. Yesterday's lunch? Her mother needed 3 meals daily. Medications required food. Elena had been making do with coffee and whatever samples the store offered. I'll eat after my shift. But at 9:47 p.m., as she walked the aisles restocking shelves, Elena realized she had $13 in her account. Her mother's medication refill was $340, due tomorrow. Rent was $1,200, due in 4 days. Her Morrison's paycheck wouldn't process until Friday. The data entry job was probably gone now. The numbers didn't work. They never worked. She stood in aisle 12, crackers, cereal, household goods, and felt reality fracture. She was so tired. Bone tired. Soul tired. Tired of choosing between her mother's life and basic survival. Her hands found the discount bin automatically. Dented cans of soup, 50% off. Crackers in torn packaging. Baby formula nearing expiration. She'd seen the young mother earlier, counting change, leaving it behind. Elena grabbed it along with her own sparse items. The formula cost $8. She'd give it to the woman if she came back. Anonymous, the way Elena wished someone would help her. She held her inadequate groceries, $11.47 worth of meals for 2 days, and felt the exhaustion crash over her like a wave. When had she slept? Really slept? Her mother needed turning every 2 hours at night. Elena worked all day. The math of survival allowed for maybe 4 hours of broken sleep. The aisle tilted slightly. Elena blinked hard, tried to steady herself. She needed to finish her shift. Needed the hours. Needed. The floor rushed up. She felt her knees give, the groceries tumbling from her arms, her body following. This would hurt. She'd hit hard. Maybe break something. Maybe not get up. But she didn't hit. Strong arms caught her, taking her full weight effortlessly. Elena found herself held against an expensive suit jacket, her face pressed to silk tie, breathing in cedar and sandalwood. I've got you. The voice was deep, calm, practiced at handling crises. Elena's vision swam. The man holding her was tall, dark hair going silver at the temples, sharp features, eyes like steel. Late 30s. He absolutely did not belong in Morrison's market at 9:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I'm okay, she managed. You can't. You're not okay. You're barely conscious. He lowered her carefully to the floor, back against the shelving, keeping one hand on her shoulder. When did you last eat? I don't. That's not. Answer the question. His tone allowed no deflection. Elena's mind was too scrambled to lie. Yesterday. Lunch. His jaw tightened. He looked at the scattered groceries around them, the dented cans, discount crackers, formula she couldn't use. Then back at her face with an expression she couldn't read. Wait here. He stood, disappeared. Elena tried to stand, but her legs wouldn't cooperate. Marcus appeared, looking panicked. I saw you fall. I'm calling an ambulance. No. Ambulances cost thousands. Please. I'm fine. I just need. The stranger returned with a basket of items and a bottle of orange juice. He unscrewed the cap and placed it in Elena's shaking hands. Drink. All of it. She drank. The sugar hit her system like electricity. He watched her with clinical focus, then spoke to Marcus. She needs to go home. Now. Can you cover her last hour? Yeah, of course. Good. The stranger pulled out his wallet, extracted what looked like $200 bills, and handed them to Elena. For the ambulance you won't call and the meals you'll actually eat. Elena stared at the money. I can't accept this. You can and you will. He crouched to her level, those steel eyes pinning her. I'm not being generous. I'm being practical. You're killing yourself, and I need you alive. You don't even know me. His expression shifted, something almost like recognition. Don't I? Elena Torres, 24, caring for your mother full-time, working here and at Shun & Associates, paying for customers' groceries out of your own pocket when they can't afford essentials. Elena's blood went cold. How do you know that? Because I own this store. And 12 others. And I've been watching you for 3 weeks. The world tilted again, but this time from shock, not hunger. Who are you? He extended his hand formally, as if they were meeting in a boardroom, not on Morrison's floor surrounded by her poverty. James Morrison. And we need to talk about your future. Elena sat in the Morrison's break room at 10:15 p.m., eating the sandwich James Morrison had purchased from the deli. Turkey, avocado, real cheese, the kind she never bought. He sat across from her, watching her eat with the same clinical focus he'd shown in the aisle. Why have you been watching me? Elena asked between bites. I review security footage from all my locations weekly. Loss prevention, employee theft, operational efficiency. He leaned back in the plastic chair, somehow making it look dignified. 3 weeks ago, I saw you pay the difference when customers came up short. First time, I thought it was a mistake. Second time, a pattern. By the 5th time, I was curious. Elena's cheeks burned. That's against policy. Technically, yes. But it's also remarkable. He pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen, and turned it to face her. I had my team pull your employee file. 2 years at Morrison's, never late until this month, never called in sick, highest customer satisfaction scores in your district. You're also working data entry evenings and caring for your mother full-time. The casual invasion of privacy should have angered her. Instead, Elena felt exposed, every failure documented. If you're firing me, I'm not firing you. I'm offering you a job. Elena stopped chewing. I have a job. Here. You have 2 jobs that barely keep you afloat while you run yourself into the ground. James leaned forward. I'm offering you one job that pays $68,000 annually with full health benefits, including coverage for dependents. Assistant Manager of Customer Experience, Morrison's corporate headquarters. You develop programs to help customers like the ones you've been quietly supporting. The number didn't make sense. Elena earned $31,000 combined from both jobs. $68,000 was impossible money. Why would you offer me that? Because you understand our customers in ways my MBA-holding managers never will. Because you have integrity even when it costs you. Because I need someone who sees people first and profit second. He paused. And because watching you collapse in aisle 12 while holding formula you bought for someone else made me realize I've built a company that doesn't adequately support its own employees. Elena set down the sandwich, her appetite gone. This is guilt. This is business. You're valuable. I'm offering you appropriate compensation. His voice softened slightly. But yes, there's guilt. I've made billions while people like you, people keeping my stores running, shoes between food and medicine. I'd like to start correcting that. By saving one person? By starting somewhere. James stood, buttoning his suit jacket. The offer stands through Friday. My assistant will email you details tomorrow. For tonight, go home. Sleep. Take care of your mother. He walked to the door, then turned. And Elena? Stop skipping meals to feed strangers. You can't help anyone if you're dead. He left. Elena sat alone, surrounded by fluorescent lighting and the lingering scent of expensive cologne, wondering if she'd hallucinated the entire conversation. Her phone showed 3 missed calls from her mother's hospice nurse. Wednesday, 2:17 a.m. Elena stood in her mother's bedroom, watching the home health aide, the one she could barely afford twice weekly, check vitals. Her oxygen levels are concerning, the aide said quietly. She needs to be in the hospital. No. Her mother's voice was firm despite its weakness. No hospitals. We agreed. Elena knew what hospitals meant. Thousands in bills, invasive procedures, maybe another month of suffering. Her mother had been clear. Home care, comfort, dignity. But comfort required medication they couldn't afford. Elena's phone buzzed. Email notification. From James Morrison's assistant. Attached, please find employment offer details. Mr. Morrison has also arranged for Morrison's employee health insurance to cover dependent care retroactively for all employees with catastrophic family medical situations. Your mother's treatment will be fully covered beginning immediately. Documentation attached. This is company policy, not personal charity. Elena read it twice. 3 times. Clicked through to the insurance documentation. Real, official, legally binding. Her mother's medication, hospice care, everything. Covered. She walked to the bathroom, closed the door, and cried silently into a towel. Friday, 9 a.m. Elena stood outside Morrison's corporate headquarters, a modest building in downtown Springfield, nothing like the glass towers she'd imagined. James Morrison met her in the lobby himself. You came. I need to understand something first. Elena kept her voice steady. Why did you really do this? The insurance policy affects hundreds of employees. That's millions in costs. It's the right thing to do. And it's cheaper than the turnover costs from employees working themselves to death. He guided her toward the elevator. But you want the personal answer? Yes. My mother was a Morrison's cashier. 30 years ago, before I bought the company. She had MS, couldn't afford treatment while working full-time. She died when I was 15. The elevator doors closed, leaving them alone. I built this company promising myself I'd never let that happen to another employee's family. Then I got focused on expansion, profit margins, shareholder value. Watching you collapse reminded me what I'd forgotten. The elevator opened to the 3rd floor, open office space, employees at desks, remarkably normal. I'm not your redemption, Elena said quietly. No, you're my reality check. James smiled slightly. The redemption comes from doing the work. He'll help make sure I do. He showed her to an office, small but windowed, with a desk and computer. Her name was already on the door, Elena Torres, Customer Experience Manager. Your first project is redesigning our employee assistance program. Budget is $2 million. I want proposals by end of month. He handed her a folder. Your second project is training managers to recognize when employees are struggling. Use your own experience. Don't hold back. Elena opened the folder, saw the scope of what he was asking. Real systemic change, not token gestures. What if I fail? Then you'll learn and try again. That's how this works. James moved toward the door, then paused. Your mother's medication is being delivered this afternoon. Home hospice nurse will increase to daily visits. I've taken the liberty of arranging that. That's not company policy. No, that's personal. His steel eyes met hers. You saved my customers when you couldn't save yourself. Let me do this one thing. He left before she could argue. Elena sat at her new desk, looked out at the view. She could see Morrison's Market from here, the store where she'd nearly died 3 days ago, and called her mother. Mija, where are you? At work. My new job. Elena's voice broke. Mama, we're going to be okay. Her mother was crying too. I'm so proud of you. I love you. I'll be home by 6. Elena hung up and let herself feel it. The impossible relief, the terrifying hope, the overwhelming gratitude mixed with residual fear that it would all disappear. Her computer chimed. Email from James. Lunches at noon. Company cafeteria, subsidized meals. You will eat. That's not a suggestion. Despite everything, Elena laughed. 6 months later, Elena stood before Morrison's board of directors, presenting her employee wellness initiative results. The conference room held 12 executives, James at the head of the table, all watching her with varying degrees of skepticism. Since implementing the program in January, we've reduced employee turnover by 34%. Elena clicked to the next slide. Emergency room visits among employees by 28% and increased productivity metrics by 19%. The financial investment of $2.3 million has generated $4.1 million in savings and revenue growth. She paused, making eye contact with each board member. But the numbers don't capture what matters. 67 employees accessed the Emergency Assistance Fund. 42 received medical care they'd been delaying. 15 avoided eviction. These are Morrison's employees, cashiers, stockers, managers, who now have stability they didn't have before. One board member, silver-haired and stern, raised his hand. Ms. Torres, this is admirable charity work, but Morrison's is a business, not a social service. With respect, sir, this isn't charity. It's investment. Elena pulled up another slide, testimonial from a store manager whose productivity had doubled after his daughter's leukemia treatment was covered. Our employees are our greatest asset. When they're drowning in medical debt or choosing between rent and food, they can't give their best to customers. This program doesn't just help employees. It strengthens every store. The young lady has a point. Another board member conceded. James hadn't spoken yet, just watched Elena with an expression she'd learned to read over the past months. Pride mixed with something deeper she didn't let herself examine too closely. The vote was called. The program passed 9-3, expanded to all Morrison's locations nationwide. Afterward, James found Elena in her office, now larger and filled with photos. Her mother smiling in their new apartment, the one that didn't require choosing between heat and groceries. You were brilliant in there, he said. I was terrified. Doesn't make it less brilliant. James sat in the chair across from her desk, the dynamic familiar now. They'd spent countless hours here, working late, debating policy, occasionally sharing the Thai takeout he insisted on buying because Elena still sometimes forgot to eat. Your mother's birthday is next week. Will you take the day off? Elena smiled. How do you know it's her birthday? I pay attention. His voice was softer now, the CEO mask slipping. How is she? Good days and bad days. The medication buys time, not miracles. Elena's throat tightened. But she's comfortable. Happy. We actually talk now instead of me just rushing through caretaking. That's because of you. It's because of the job you've earned and the insurance you're entitled to. James. Elena met his eyes. Can you just accept gratitude without deflecting? He was quiet for a moment. When he spoke, his voice carried weight. I don't know how to separate the personal from the professional with you. I gave you a job because you deserved it. I changed company policy because it was right. But I also. He stopped, seemed to recalibrate. I also think about you constantly. Wonder if you're eating properly. Look forward to our meetings more than any other part of my day. And I don't know if that's appropriate or fair or, James. Elena's heart hammered. I think about you too. The air between them shifted. You're my employee, he said carefully. There's a power dynamic, which is why we've been professional for 6 months. Why you've never pushed, never assumed. Elena stood, walked around her desk to face him. But I'm not that girl who collapsed in your store anymore. I'm a Morrison's executive with a fair salary and agency in my own life. So I'm telling you directly, I have feelings for you. If you want to explore that, we do it carefully, appropriately, with HR involved and clear boundaries. But I'm not hiding it anymore. James stood too, close enough that she could see silver. Flecks in his gray eyes. I'm 15 years older than you. I'm aware. I have control issues and work too much. I've noticed. And I'm absolutely certain that falling for you is the best decision I've made in years. He reached for her hand tentatively. She took it. Dinner? Tomorrow? Completely separate from work. Yes. Their first kiss happened later, in the parking garage at 9 p.m. when they were the last ones in the building. It was gentle, tentative, and absolutely perfect. 14 months later, Elena sat in the hospice room, holding her mother's hand as morning light filtered through the curtains. Her mother's breathing had grown shallow overnight. The nurses said it would be soon. Mija, her mother whispered, "You're wearing the ring." Elena looked at the simple diamond on her left hand. James had proposed 2 weeks ago, quiet and private, asking permission to love her for the rest of his life. "I am, Mama. I'm so happy for you." Her mother's grip tightened slightly. "You found someone who sees you, who values you. I found someone who caught me when I fell." Elena's voice broke. "In every possible way. You caught yourself first. Don't forget that." Her mother smiled. "You were always strong enough. You just needed someone to help carry the weight for a while." Her mother died 3 hours later, peacefully, with Elena beside her and James waiting respectfully in the hallway. The grief was profound but clean. No regrets, no wishes for more treatment they couldn't afford, just gratitude for the extra time they'd been given. 6 months after that, Elena stood in Morrison's flagship store, the one where she'd collapsed 20 months earlier. But she wasn't an employee today. She was here for the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Morrison Employee Resource Center. Childcare, health clinic, financial counseling, job training, all free for employees. James stood beside her, her husband now, his hand at the small of her back. "You ready?" he asked quietly. "To cut a ribbon? I think I can manage." "To see how far you've come." Elena looked around the store, at employees who now had health insurance, emergency funds, support systems. At customers who still counted their money carefully, but were served by workers who weren't collapsing from exhaustion. At the space where she'd almost hit the floor and instead found her future. "Yeah," she said. "I'm ready." They cut the ribbon together. Employees applauded. The local news filmed. And Elena thought about that girl who'd held $11.47 in groceries and believed she had nothing left. She'd been wrong. She'd had herself, her compassion, her work ethic, her resilience. James had just helped her see it, helped her build on it. That night, in their modest home, James had refused to move her into his mansion, respecting her need for space that felt earned. They sat on the couch eating Thai takeout and reviewing expansion plans for the employee program. "We could do this nationally," Elena said, highlighting sections of the proposal. "Partner with other retail chains, create an industry standard." Elena. James gently took the papers from her hands. "It's 10 p.m. We're off the clock." "Since when do you go off the clock?" "Since I married someone who showed me there's life beyond work." He pulled her close. "Tell me something non-work related." Elena thought, then smiled. "I saw the woman today. The one with the formula I bought that night. And she's the new manager of aisle 12. Her kids are in the employee daycare. She thanked me for the formula, said she didn't know who left it, but it helped her through the worst week of her life." James kissed her temple. "You're still saving people." "No, I'm helping build systems that save people. There's a difference." Elena turned to face him. "You taught me that." "We taught each other." They sat in comfortable silence, two people who'd found each other in an impossible moment and built something real from it. Not a fairy tale. They still worked too hard, still argued about work-life balance, still carried the scars of their respective pasts. But they'd built something true. A partnership based on mutual respect, shared values, and the understanding that catching someone when they fall is just the beginning. What matters is helping them stand, then standing beside them while they change the world. Outside, Springfield went about its evening. People working, struggling, surviving. But inside Morrison stores across the country, employees clocked out knowing they had health insurance, emergency funds, and employers who saw them as people first. One woman's collapse had started it, but it was her strength that sustained it. Elena Torres had always been capable of saving herself. She just needed someone to catch her long enough to remember that.